Brilliance Audio presents Your Dog is Your Mirror, The Emotional Capacity of Our Dogs and Ourselves, by Kevin Behan, performed by Patrick Lawler. Rosie is a female Cocker Spaniel owned by Linda, a psychotherapist, and Rosie's story exemplifies much of what this book is about. Linda arrived at my farm with Rosie riding in the front passenger seat of a luxury performance car that was freshly washed and waxed and somehow still sparkling after traveling the mile of muddy dirt road to my farm. The car was upholstered and trimmed in bright, clean leather, its interior immaculate. When Linda opened the door, Rosie spilled over her lap and washed up onto me like a wave of bubbling friendliness. Then the dog took to the ground and kept in constant high motion, extending her retractable leash out as far as it would go, straining her way into the muck at the edge of the drive. Linda managed a quick hello, but was for the most part absorbed in keeping up with Rosie, who was nose deep in 1,000 new scents, her head rising up from time to scan the far horizon, toward which she'd zoom off anew. I winced when I thought about her dirty paws tracking back in over the car's showroom-perfect surfaces. Somehow I knew Linda wouldn't mind. Eventually we got organized, and, as is my custom, we began our consultation with a trail walk through our property. The trail is the remnant of an old stage road that once transected Vermont on its way to Albany, New York. It travels through the woods for the better part of a mile and then empties into a field overlooking an abandoned beaver pond. It often takes getting to the end of this road for some dogs and some owners to unwind. Some of the dogs splash in the water, some forage around looking for sticks, some eat grass, some stare into the woods. After a few minutes of taking in the view, we head back. As we walk along, I write down in my notebook everything Linda has to say. Occasionally I answer a question she asks, but I do so as briefly as possible. I don't want to put anything I have to say ahead of what Linda is here to tell me. When I used to work for my father, John Behan, at Canine College in West Reading, Connecticut, I might spend hours interviewing a customer about how they raised and trained their dog. Just like my father and the other staff trainers, I tried to pinpoint the exact moment when the dog learned this or that association, developed this or that bad habit, or when and how the owner began to slip as a leader in their dog's eyes. The consultation started the instant the owner took their dog out of the car. Dad taught me to watch closely to see who was in charge, the parents, the kids, or the dog. Today, I still ask customers the same questions that I asked 35 years ago. How old was your dog when you got her? What has been your approach to discipline? When did you first notice the problem? But even though I ask the same questions and can end up talking for just as long as when I first started, I'm no longer looking for information about the dog's background or how she learned this or that behavior. I'm not trying to place the dog in the so-called pack hierarchy. There's nothing more I need to know about Rosie. She has revealed herself during the first few minutes of our encounter. Rather, I ask questions and write down Linda's remarks to encourage Linda's thinking, reminiscing, and speculating, because as Linda talks about Rosie, her deepest feelings surface in her choice of words, the tone of her voice, and where her emphasis falls in a sentence. What matters to me is how Linda sees her dog, how she interprets Rosie's behavior, and most important, how Rosie makes Linda feel. Rosie's problem is aggression toward children, but her behavior is characterized by a particularly frenzied and conflicted state. There is tail wagging even as she lunges and snarls with no question she will bite, although so far Linda has managed to negotiate the roiling waters without any child getting hurt.